Hello everybody. This is vlog number something. As if it's not obvious yet, I keep forgetting where I'm at. Oh well. The screen will tell you correct. I've got a list, and as usual, I'll try to follow it and get everything out. It's a little bit longer of a list than normal, but I'm going to try to not make that mean this is going to be a very long vlog, video log, video blog, I don't know. Anyway, because the last one was way too long. So, point number one, the CMS, the open source project, the ATOM.CMS. I've decided to change a few different, not really much. I'm just going to change the direction in which I'm going to approach it. The CMS we're building in the Dynamics series will still be exactly what it says it's going to be from video 1. We're going to have a simple blog and simple gallery in there. However, what I've decided, since we're already pretty far into the amount of videos we have for that series, I'm going to make that kind of its own thing, but also the starting point, or kind of the end of that series will mark the beginning of us developing Atom. And the reason I say that is because what we're going to have by the time we have the simple blog and gallery included in there will not be anywhere, well, I can't say anywhere near, but it's not going to be trying to think of how to word this right, but it's not going to be the actual product. The way it's set up is still kind of basic, and we want to release a product that's done right, and not actually, I'll rephrase that, not just done right, I mean done professional and not at a basic level. So what we're learning right now, even though these are advanced topics in the way of web design and development in general, I mean, we're getting into more advanced topics with this at the moment, but as far as actually developing a CMS product to be released and used by multiple people, this is not the end of this series will not produce what it is we're looking at. It'll produce the model that we're going to start with. And so that's not to discourage anybody. Every single thing we're doing right now is going to be continued once we start the actual Atom development. We're going to be using everything we've done. We may take things out or change them as we go, but everything we're learning and doing is extremely important and absolutely part of the process of building what we're building. I just thought, I realized that would be a nice place to stop and then start the actual development of the product itself, because I want to try as hard as I can to take you guys through the not just showing you the code and talking about it. I want to try and include you in the planning process itself, because unlike most of my videos, for those of you who have had sessions with me now, or have been in the live sessions, or have had conversations with me personally through messages, will already probably know this, but I don't really ever have a set plan when I write these series. And to some of you, that may be obvious that I'm kind of making things up as I go. I have, of course, there's a title to a series, so I have a general plan. I have a general, I know what I want at the end, but how we go about it, I'm doing it on the fly. I don't know what video 5 of the series is going to be when I'm still working on video 1. I have no idea yet. So that's going to be a little bit different with this series, because I want to show you how to plan, how we're going to work this out, how I'm going to take the marker board over there, that big old guy there, and kind of work out the database model, or at least a preliminary one, and I'm going to start, thinking of how we're going to lay out the documents. And it's the way I mean is not necessarily the aesthetic layout that you see in the browser, and I also don't mean how we're going to arrange things on a page necessarily. What I told one person, for example, one of my private students, is this thing will be kind of unrecognizable to you. If that's the right term, I don't know. But by the time we're done with it, it won't look nearly the same under the hood as it does now. For instance, the index page right now does most of the heavy lifting, and for all we know, we might actually have 2 lines of code in the index page. Things will be broken up and done in other ways. There's a couple of different methods already used to do templates and such for CMSs and other things like forums and stuff, other software, web software applications that have already been built. Bottom line, there's a lot more to it, and I wanna show you guys not just how to do it, but I want to show you guys how I figure out how to do it, and if any way possible, I may even be able to open up the door for input, maybe even a live session, kind of like the Q&As we've done, only in this case, instead of me just answering general topics and questions, it'll be a discussion about how and what direction we're going to go with the CMS, and pros and cons of different things and such. You don't have to be as experienced as I am to join in that. You need to know what you already know. You're a user already, as well as I am. You're a user of the internet. You're a user of various products on the internet. You know how you like to do things. and what you like to see and how you feel comfortable doing things. So that's a good model to start with, and it's important input for developing a CMS that's going to be used by not only myself, but you guys, and potentially other people out there, because we release a product. This could end up being a product that people who have nothing to do with our classes or courses end up using because they like it. Like WordPress. They didn't do it this way. Nobody made videos to show how they built WordPress. They didn't build it with anybody, and that's kind of where this is unique. We're building something together, and everybody's learning at the same time, and learning every little piece and part of what we're building. So the abilities that you guys are going to have to extend upon it and add to it as a community is going to be instant, and great. Whereas these other great products out there, other CMS products and similar applications, they're great tools too, but they had to spend a lot of time building a community and put out a lot of documentation to show and try to relate how they built their system and how to use it, and everybody's is a little bit different. So reading through a bunch of wiki style documentation to learn someone else's CMS. I keep using WordPress as an example, even though it's not meant to be a CMS. It's a very widely used tool as a CMS. Their documentation is great, but at the same time, it's not easy to learn something like that. You have so hopefully everybody gets what I'm getting at without me dragging this on. But you guys will already know what to do. You might even have a better idea at the end of this on how to manipulate and extend this product than even I do. Because we've all got our own brains, and we all think and learn and have our own creativity, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see what we can take from something that I helped build the core of with input, but after that, even though I'm going to be helping extend it as well, I can't wait to see what all these other minds are going to do. There's thousands of you out there watching these videos now, if not hundreds and thousands at this point, and even if a small fraction of you start immediately into the community and start building things, even just simple things, like a plugin to send an email, as simple as that. We're building a core, so it's going to need all these tools. Even the blog that we will build in this dynamic series, which will be a part of the Atom project in the beginning, that's going to need to be expanded upon greatly, and if not expanded upon, replaced. And whether we do that within the video series or not, I don't know yet. That might be something that could be one of the first things that you guys as viewers approach, or some of you, is taking that, or even just totally disregarding it and building a brand new one that fits even better and has more functionality, and so on and so forth. And not only will we extend the CMS, but we'll also periodically release new versions of it that are more stable, address any security concerns that may arise, because that's stuff you can't just make something and and let it sit. You have to always, you have to continue to monitor it and make sure that it's built to match current standards and concerns and all that jazz. So that kind of is a nice segue into the next 2 points I have. The second thing I wanted to talk about, which is another thing that a couple of you who I've had a more personal contact with through sessions and messages, I've really been considering building something which, for lack of better terms, would be kind of a board of directors. If somebody has a better or more accurate term, please fill me in. But the idea is still the same. Granted, we're not making enough money as a site yet. We're not self-sufficient. We're relying on fundraising, which isn't really happening too fast right now. There was a surge of it in the beginning, and then it kind of died off. So we're really only funded by our advertising and the private lessons I'm doing, which we still have to fill my schedule before we're really getting enough funding to not have to worry about fundraisers or me finding other ways to make money to keep this thing going, which is what we do not want. The worst thing possible is for you guys anyway, and the site in general, is for me to have to go start picking up client work again, where this will be a back burner project. Because I've got a lot of people asking me questions. In fact, somebody just asked me recently what it is I do for a living, and this is what I do for a living now. If I haven't made that clear yet, I quit doing freelance work as of a week or two ago, and have been planning on that for at least a month and a half. And so I am totally relying on this whole project as an income. So if I have one student a week and no funds coming in through the fundraisers, then I've basically made $35 that week, which doesn't even cover the expenses of keeping the free hosting up, keeping software up to date, keeping other services running, all that stuff. It doesn't work that. So that was kind of a tangent, but point being, if I go this board route, and to be clear, what I mean is gathering a handful of people, whether it be 2 people or 10 people, I don't know, but a core of people that I can trust, that trust me, that we can all trust, that have a little bit of spare time. I'm not asking the world out of anybody, because there isn't enough, and there isn't even a budget for it. So nobody could really. It's not a paid gig, but I'd love to have people have more input on what I'm doing. Originally, if you've been around for a while, you noticed I had another author, but he was really doing his own thing, and we were just kind of sharing each other's videos. His videos were software based, and to help me get attention, and mine helped him get more attention. And that was the route I was hoping to go, was to get actual more authors writing videos and use them as my team to make decisions. But really, quite honestly, I'd love to have viewers on that team instead, so that I get a really, really accurate look into what you guys are thinking about how I approach things, about how I do things. I mean, I can tell from a lot of the comments, at least the ones that are worth something, the current constructive criticism, good or bad. Not talking about the trolls who spit out garbage, but I can tell that you guys generally like, or at least the people that continue viewing the videos, obviously generally like my approach to things and how I try to be as detailed as possible, and I teach as if I don't assume you know anything, not in a mean way, as in I don't assume that you're an idiot. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm not going to assume that you know something particular. You might know everything but one thing, and that's what I mean by I'm not going to assume you know everything. And so I try to let everybody's skill level be included in here. Anyway, so if people are interested in that, I'd like to know. I mean, it's more of a thing where we either just talk, keep a nice, consistent conversation going on via email, or we meet once a month, once a day, once a week, once a year, I don't know, on a video chat or something, it's all stuff that can be figured out. But I'd love to bring other people in. I'd like to have some input. Even like to have some interns. We have one individual who has already shown that he's very interested in being a part, in being an intern and helping me do some of the stuff that might seem to be busy work sometimes, but it's stuff that some of the stuff that keeps me from getting as much content out as I like to get. If I've got to answer 20 emails or look through all my comments individually, and which I like doing, and I like being able to be personally involved in those things, but sometimes questions can be answered very simply, and maybe I don't need to be involved in all that. And actually, you guys have been doing a good job, I've noticed, of helping each other out through the comment threads on each of the videos. I have seen a lot of that going on. So, as that segues me into the next point, I'll leave you with, send me a message or something, get a hold of me somehow if you have an interest in being a part of the board of directors or board of whatever we decide to call it, board of developers, board of salmon. I don't care what we call it, but as long as you understand what I mean. If you have interest in that. If you're a younger person, or not even just younger, but somebody who is very, very green to this, very new, even if you're in your 50s, and have the time and don't mind being considered an intern, and don't find that a derogatory term, because I don't treat that as a derogatory position. That's a very important position. I'm interested in hearing from you too as well. So, but as I was mentioning how you guys have been helping each other a lot in the comment threads, that segues me into the idea of adding forums to the site, which I had at one point. I didn't maintain them. I did not have time to even add topics, and spam took it over before I before I knew it, and before I could put things up in place to stop it, and all of a sudden I just, it wasn't worth it. I took it down. So I'm considering either implementing a forum that's pre-built, which I know may look or sound bad on my part as someone who can do this stuff for a living, I can do this stuff. It might be wise to take something that's already built and runs itself, instead of building something yourself and working out bugs and things like that. However, I might also want some of the custom needs that building my own would give me. So I haven't made a decision on that yet, but I really think some sort of forum structure, discussion structure outside of the comment threads on YouTube, which I think is the only thing that bothers me about how YouTube's set up. Is just the comments are messy. They're very, very messy. I'm not sure why they've done them the way they do them. They're very confusing and hard to follow, in the orders they're in and things like that. But anyway, I'd like to hear input on that too. If we could have forums, even if they're just general, web development, or break it even down to, a PHP forum, an HTML forum, or whatever, and people can ask questions and get answers from the rest of the community and myself too when I have time to chime in. But then you guys can help each other and maybe get over some of the hurdles, because I find some people are watching the videos and they end up watching them several times, which is great. I love that, and I love that you can tolerate watching a 20-part series of me more than one time. But at the same time, I don't want to hold anybody back with simple questions, especially if they're simple and you've asked me and I didn't get a chance to get to it. That sucks for you, and I don't like that. I want you guys to be able to get a question answered and move forward. So that could help with those. Another thing I'm thinking of, I've got I'm using the Google Appointments calendar for my booking for sessions, and it's doing its job right now, but I think I want something more complete and custom tailored for exactly what we're doing here. And I may look into how easy it's going to be for me to manipulate what Google's doing so I can use the calendar my own way, or I'm going to build my own scheduling system that's simple and just built so that I can get so that you guys can see when slots are available, book them, and also have the ability to give me as much detail as possible beforehand, in a nice, clean fashion, as in I'll ask you exactly what topics we're looking at. You'd be able to send me links to either the current, whatever your project you're working on, whether it be graphic design related or web related, or send me links to example sites of what you're trying to pull off, things like that, along with being able to write a detailed message. Right now I'm relying on you sending me an email afterwards, or in the comments of the actual event once you book it. I'm kind of relying on just being, you guys give me details there, which I think we could do a lot better than that. Not only that, but, excuse me. Also, while talking to some private students and in the Q&As. I had some advice from some of you guys that I think was really good, and I'm considering if and how to implement it, because I have had trouble, obviously, keeping up with messages that involve help, whether it's a quick fix or you're basically asking if I can help you build your website, which I can't do that. That's not what I'm doing. I can help you learn. I can teach you and walk you through from beginning to end through private sessions and consults. That's perfect, but I can't build your website. I'm not doing that anymore. That takes away from this. So what we were thinking, or what was brought to my attention, was an idea that we could possibly make a little extra money, which we need really bad, by implementing something that's something simple, where you can send me a file to look at. Say you've got a bug and you've been looking at it for days and days and days and you can't figure it out, and maybe the solution is just there's a comma in the wrong spot, or you forgot a semicolon somewhere, but you're not seeing it, for whatever reason. Simple things like that. Maybe within that same scheduling system, I can have an area where you can go in for support and submit something like that. See, there's more details for me to figure out, but as an example, submit a file to me to review to see if I can find a solution. It would have to be simple. Or we'd have to figure out ways to gauge that and price it and all that. But, maybe, even as low as $1, for me to take a quick glance and see if I can see what's going on. And if the problem's too big, or I don't find it, you at least got a chance for me to look at it, and I'm going to give you feedback no matter what. If I can't fix the problem because I can't find it, then I don't, that's that. But I still took the time to do it, or to look. But if it ends up being something where there's a lot more involved, I of course cannot do that. I can help you find, bugs and things like that, or give you quick tips and advice. But what I can do is point you in the right direction and give you a response that explains what you need, why, and then at that point you can either continue to try on your own, or we can start booking sessions together and work on those bigger problems. So I don't know. It's like I said, that's something that I got to put a lot of thought into, as far as how to make that work and be fair to everybody, but including myself, and ultimately help the site, which basically just means keeping me from losing my shirt on this. And for those in other countries where that may not be a common phrase, basically, I've got to keep a roof over my family, and take care of them, and that's all I need in order to continue to do this as a job. So I work for you guys as long as I get paid, so keep that in mind. The other thing semi-related to that is I do have courses that I'm planning. I have some strategy behind why I haven't started this yet. I'm working on writing a lecture. A while back, I was given the opportunity to do a lecture at my college, a guest lecture, and not just to stand in front of the class type of deal, but actually go to the auditorium, be in an auditorium and give a full-scale lecture on what, I don't know. I'm working that out, and I got to see if that's still an option. And I don't want to start doing courses and things before that. I want to wait. I don't feel that's a wise strategy to be doing courses, and which may or may not be somewhat modeled after how I was taught, which would be then, of course, similar to the school. And I'd like to get some of their support, and if I can get some of their support, then I don't want to be doing something that, for lack of better words, would be competition to them. There's no way I can compete with them. If anybody knows of the school, Full Sail, they're a beast. I mean, they're just giant, and there's no competing with them on my level, that is. But it's more of a strategy on my part, if you know what I mean. I apologize that the dogs are barking. I'm trying to keep them from barking, but I'm looking on I keep a monitor upstairs where I can see them. Usually I use this to keep tabs on the kids when they're here after school so I can work, but I find it interesting to see what these dogs do while they think no one's around. Sometimes it's pretty interesting. So anyways, that explains courses and where I'm at with that, and why I'm holding off on that a little bit. And I've only got 2 more points, and I've definitely gone on pretty long, so I apologize. And I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. If that's obvious, I'm a little droopy-eyed, and I probably look stoned, and I assure you I'm not. I'm just tired. At the same time, I'm up. It's the daytime. I got videos planned, or at least I'm going to do some reviews and work on recording some videos. Whether I can get them out today or not, I don't know. Anyway, 5th point, which would be 5 out of 6, so we're almost done, guys and gals, so don't worry. Some people have also brought up the idea of me writing a book, and I've often considered that. In fact, over the several years, I've tried to write some books within my spare time, and just never had enough time, and I'd get too nitpicky about it, and can't be nitpicky when you're working on a tight timeline. So, and plus I didn't even have a platform for which I could release this book, or whatever book it was. I think I started working on a book on design, but now I do have a platform to launch it on, and that's you guys. You guys are the foundation here. So one idea I've thought of is a book. I mean, if you learn anything like me, which I learned best from exactly what you guys are doing here. I learned best from being told, seeing examples, getting my hands dirty. Text tutorials are great, and they've helped me a lot, but they're nowhere near as good as someone just flat out telling me not only how to do something, but why we do it a certain way and all that. And we can make a book and we can explain it all day long, but without the actual, I don't know, personal deal you have when watching a video or something like that. The books sometimes aren't as easy. They're more of a reference than something to learn. Even those books, learn how to develop a website in 21 days, something like that. While that might be true if you do the plan as they ask you to, it's still not the same as having a teacher or someone speaking to you directly and explaining things as we do as humans communicate, through talk. So what I was thinking is, if I do write a book or books in the future, whether they're short books or not, which they might have to be in the beginning, I doubt I'm going to write a, excuse the pajamas, but that's the beauty of working for myself in my own home. So, but I'm not, I wouldn't go out and write a book this big. I do love this book, so if I haven't made that clear yet. I love this series, and I love the authors involved. Larry Allman especially. I don't think he did this one, though. No, he didn't. But if I do write books, it might end up being, like almost more like a short story, where we talk about specific items and not broad general, JavaScript as a whole, like this one, or JavaScript and Ajax, where I need a whole book that's got 400 pages, I might start small and work on simple topics, but getting to the point of what would make it unique is I would like to do it in a way where there's commentary that comes with it. And I don't mean like an audiobook version. That's all you need, is me narrating a book. That's going to be pretty boring and not doing you any better, because I'd simply be reading what I wrote and what you're reading. So that's more of a either or. I'm sorry, my screen's turned off. I don't want to give you an either or. I think giving you a collection. And I got this idea when multiple people have suggested that I make DVDs out of my series, which I've still considered, but I don't know if it's worth the overhead involved in putting them out, as well as the advertising I lose, or the revenue I get from advertising. If anyone would leak that video on a torrent or something like that, granted it might get me more attention if there was courtesy enough to put my name on it, the Digital Crafts name on it, or something like that to link back to me. But either way, it's really risky when I take the content and give it totally away. And that's why, to anybody who's asked if I could submit links to just download it directly, I don't allow that, at least at this moment, because I highly rely right now on the advertising to just pay our bills. And when I say our, I mean the Digital Craft bills, not even my family's bills. That's how kind of bad off we are right now as an organization. Organization of one at the moment, but you get what I mean. So I'm talking about a book where there would be an audio file slash CD, whatever. However, if I even publish it as a real book, or if I just make it an ebook of some sort, there would be commentary that goes along with it that would be more in my teaching style. So it would be a combination of a book and my videos. So I don't know how that sounds to people. I don't know how I'll pull it off to make sense, but you know, it's kind of like the commentary on a DVD. The people talking over it, the actors, the director, the whoever. When you're watching the commentary versions, they're not reading the script. You know, they might talk about the script a little bit, but they're not reading the script word for word or anything like that. They're not narrating. They're further explaining what it is you're seeing and how they did it or why they did it or things like that. So at the very least, it would be a physical book with a CD or an ebook with an audio file attached to it. But I might have some other creative opportunities. There's other tools out there. Adobe's doing amazing things with PDFs at the moment, or at least recently, lately, with being able to add video and things like that to PDF documents. So maybe maybe we'll start doing books, and I'm curious to see what people think of that idea. It's always good to have a book. I love books, but I've always really used them for reference. Even learning something new, I can't with the ADD and anxiety. A lot of times the letters just kind of float around, and I tend to skim through things and realize I just went 10 pages and didn't commit any of it to memory, and that's no good. Maybe I'm dyslexic or something, I don't know, I might possibly. Maybe I've got everything, maybe I'm a hypochondriac, I don't know. Anyway, last thing, which is ironic, and I didn't put it at the end intentionally, but it's, I don't know, it makes me laugh. The last point to make is video lengths. The length of time I spend on a video, or not that I spend on a video, but the length of a video that I release. Before the channel got popular, I was stuck with the limit of 15 minutes. So a lot of our older videos are only 15 minutes long, and that's when I first started having to cut the videos up into parts. But then once they raised the limit to pretty much no limit, I kind of didn't have a structure really anymore and any consistency. You might watch one lesson that's 15 minutes long, and then the next one's an hour and a half, and I think it's time to change that. I think I need to figure out what is a decent time frame, with some buffer, potentially. I don't want to, if we chose 15 minutes, I wouldn't necessarily want to always have something cut off immediately at 15 minutes, because that's not going to be, that may not always be enough time to finish. Maybe only another minute. So I'm looking more of a span with a 10-minute buffer, 20 to 30 minutes, something like that. Whatever people think is a little more digestible. Now that might add the amount of videos we have in the series, so it can be a little more frightening when you see that a series or a playlist is 200 videos long rather than 20. That could be a problem, but I don't know. But it is something I want to know and get some input on. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to try and wake up here so that I don't continue to look and feel tired or like I'm strung out, because I'm not. I'm just tired. So thanks, everybody. We will talk soon.